Onorato and Bagnardi on the road from Patten Golf Club, just north of Clifton Park. It's Chris Onorato, it's Sean Bagnardi, and we are here for a great event, the annual Play It Forward 518 golf outing. Shawnee, our guy Joe Troba, the Siena grad, and somebody we've gotten to know over the last couple of years, certainly telling his story on News Channel 13. Man, it's an honor to be here. Glad he asked us to be here, and it isn't raining, which is a miracle. We've got a huge show coming up, Shawnee.
Yeah, well, keep going. Tell me about it.
Yes, this is where you take the handoff and you run for maybe a first down.
So we've got you mentioned where we are and who we have here, but we have an incredible guest lineup. I don't want to say maybe the best we've ever had, because then you start to bring it, you don't want to start that debate with the others, but man, we got former MLB player and manager Lou Piniella and former New York Yankee great, at the very least, I'll say great. I almost want to go legend, just because he's a part of that dynasty team, man. Tino Martinez.
He's got the monument. He was, Jeter presented it to him. I think that makes you a Yankees legend. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, we'll talk with both Piniella and Martinez on the show. We'll also talk with Joe Troba about this great event. He has this great organization, the nonprofit Play It Forward 518. He has, and we'll get into what is happening around Major League Baseball right now as the Yankees continue their climb. The Mets continue their fall. Bags, let's get it going. You're watching Onorato and Bagnardi.
This is Onorato and Bagnardi, brought to you by Appliance.
And again, we are at Patten Golf Club, Play It Forward 518. We'll talk with Joe Troba coming up. But Bags, I need to get your thoughts immediately here. You got a bet on the line that the Yankees will make the playoffs, but I have to imagine you are mentally taken aback by what is happening here with the Mets. You're not worried about getting a Harrison Butker sweatshirt from me. You're worried about your Metsies making the playoffs.
I am. It has certainly been a free fall, I should say. It's a bit of a free for all too with this Mets team. But man, what happened? Look, we know offense across the league is just not where we'd like it to be. But it's really hard watching a baseball game when your favorite team just can't hit it all, man. And that's where it is right now with the Metsies. What are you going to say? They're not hitting? They're not.
Well, here's the thing. No, let me jump in with this. You see what is happening. Here's what's happening. I always believe that over the course of a baseball season, the law of averages play out here. Now, going into the year, I think you and I both thought, hey, this Mets team is pretty good, but they're not great. And if they're going to make the playoffs, who needs to really be healthy and effective? DeGrom, number one. Okay, you're not going to have him until September at the absolute earliest, and you haven't had him since the All-Star break. But beyond that, we looked at the rotation and we're like, Stroman's got to be good. Carrasco needs to be good. Is Syndergaard coming back at all? And here we are, middle of August, right? And the answer is no, we don't know anything about Syndergaard. Carrasco missed most of the year, and he has struggled since he came back from the hamstring injury. Stroman has been too up and down, I think, for a lot of people. So the strength of this team, pitching, right, it hasn't sustained. And that's nobody's fault. It's just the fact that health has not been consistent. And so to me, the strength of what the rotation is here, it hasn't held up, Bags. And that is how I assume you thought the Mets would get to the postseason if the pitching was really elite.
Yes, that is all true. And you're certainly right about DeGrom. It starts and ends with him, and not having him for the second half of the season is certainly something that is a major detriment to this team, and what could ultimately be what you look on as saying that's what kept us out of the playoffs, especially if it winds up being close down the stretch. But the problem for me is, all that said, what was the first half then? Fool's gold? I mean, yeah, you said Stroman.
I think in a little bit, yeah.
Come on. I understand what you're saying about the law of averages, but at some point you sustain enough to where you start to think maybe this is the average for this team. And look, Pete Alonso was on a tear after the home run derby. And now he
True.
can't hit the baseball at all. Javi Baez, I like the addition at the trade deadline. We've talked about it. But now that he's here, I mean, you do see some of his deficiencies, I'll say. I mean, he'll swing at a pickoff attempt. I mean, he'll swing at pitches that are just all over the place. And the rest of the offense, Jeff McNeil, right? He's kind of like a guy who, we were talking about this last night a little bit at work, like a DJ LeMahieu type, where you just expect so much out of him, right? And if he doesn't quite deliver or hit, 315 or 330, then he's delivering. But McNeil, like, now we're talking about him as a guy who, well, with the way that the makeup of the team, with JD Davis in there, now you trade for Baez, maybe he's not even an everyday guy, right? When everybody's healthy. Like, I don't know. This team, to me, where is the offense? And Lindor, is he going to be the answer? He wasn't in the first half. Like, even if you get him back healthy, I want to see my team score some runs, because for all the things you said about the pitching, Carrasco, you got to give a little bit of time to. He gets a little bit of a pass here as he starts to really ramp back up into regular baseball shape. But you're right. You need Stroman to be good, and you certainly missed DeGrom. But for me, it's about this fool's gold that we had in the first half. I want to see some of these guys who I now expect to perform a little bit.
Okay. And you'll like Jason's comment there at the bottom there that Stroh has the most losses this year in games where the team has scored 2 runs or fewer in the game, he's got 11. So in every loss, Jason's saying, we'll fact check it in a break here, that every loss Stroman has, the Mets have given him 2 or fewer runs of support.
He's the new DeGrom.
But here's the thing. I didn't love the lineup coming into the season. I liked Nimmo. Conforto has underperformed his entire career, you could argue. The Lindor thing gets you excited, but I didn't love the lineup coming into the year. So for me, it was this pitching's got to be great if the Mets are going to win this division. Now, I also thought the division was going to be a lot better than it's been. So as we sit here in the middle of August, you got 3 teams that have a legitimate shot to win the NL East. And probably the team they'll play, the Wild, whichever team comes out of the Central, right, is certainly going to have a better record than them. And if they meet even the wild card team in the NLCS, that team's going to have a better record than them.
Well, when you talk about the law of averages too, that's the division now. I mean, the Mets got lucky enough to hang around. Not that they didn't. I mean, they had an okay first half, okay, but considering what Atlanta could have been or should have been, Philadelphia now, we're seeing them at what they can be. That's the law of averages now over the long haul of a season. Those teams, I think, are starting to show a little bit more of what they're made of, and that's going to make it extra difficult for the Mets to win here and make the playoffs, because you've got to now win the division because of where the records are. You're not making the playoffs out of the NL East unless you win the division.
We're loaded up with the Yankees on this show. They continue their charge towards that wild card. Certainly, Bags, I know you have said for many months now, this is a playoff team. Don't be fooled by the struggles we've seen at times this season. I jumped off them pretty quickly and early on, and I still say they won't make the playoffs, although now I'm just kind of being hard-headed about it. Tino Martinez coming up here, and a bunch of people showing their love for Tino. Sam loves Tino. Lisa, favorite all-time player. And yes, the point out here from Jennifer, Tino will be throwing out the first pitch at the Valley Cats game on Saturday, pinch hitting, if you will, for our guy Lou Piniella, who is also coming up on today's show. So as we get into some of the Yankees discussion here, let's enough of us, right, Bags? Enough already.
Yeah, 100%. All I'll say about the Yankees is you're going to owe me a sweatshirt. Give the people Tino. That's what they want.
All right, coming up next here on Onorato and Bagnardi, we are at Van Patten Golf Club. Our conversation with the great Tino Martinez is next right here.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together. the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
And now, back to Onorato and Bagnardi. Brought to you by Alpenhaus.
And we're back on Onorato and Bagnardi, and man, what a thrill for us. Somebody we watched his career very closely play out on the field, the great Tino Martinez, who did some serious damage with the New York Yankees bags.
I went through my baseball cards and look, I found a couple Tinos in there yesterday.
Man.
I wanted to show you. This one here says he was on Ken Griffey Jr.'s hot list, whatever that was. And this one was about a tape measure shot. He hit 421-foot bomb at the Kingdome against the Athletics as a member of the Mariners. So I thought that was cool. Going back in the archives for that.
Yeah, well, Griffey would know from watching Tino's sweet left-handed swing. Tino, good morning. Thank you for taking the time with us.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on the New York State Hall of Fame. You'll be inducted this weekend. What does it mean to have your name attached to a Hall of Fame, but specifically the New York Hall of Fame, given all your success with the Yankees?
Yeah, when you get inducted into any Hall of Fame, it's a great honor. But to go into the New York State Hall of Fame is a really big deal for me because so many great athletes have come out of New York and so many great athletes have played for the New York teams. So it's an honor to have my name mentioned amongst all those and, my whatever it is, a picture on a wall somewhere, wherever it may be, but it'll be there forever. So, fortunately, I got to play for the New York Yankees and we had so much success and that allowed me, obviously, to be part of the New York State Hall of Fame.
So, Tino, obviously not a lot of guys get to win a championship in their career in any professional sport, and very few get to be a part of a dynasty. So I'll ask you, what is the difference? What makes a team a dynasty as opposed to, the run-of-the-mill championship team in terms of the makeup and how that team is put together?
That's a great question. So when we won in 1996 for the first time, we weren't expected to win, I don't think, because Don Mattingly was gone, Buck Showalter was gone. I came in, and I don't think the fans really expected a World Series championship that year. They probably expected a pretty good team. But having won that first one in 1996, it was the first time for almost all the guys on the team to ever win a World Series, including Joe Torre. And once we did that in 96, we came back in 97 and we wanted to do it again. We lost to Cleveland in the first round wild card playoff section of the playoffs in 97. And that was a heartbreaking loss for us because we felt that we had a better team in 1997 than we did in 1996. And it was disappointing. And when we came back in 98, everybody on the team's goal was to win that World Series and do that again. And we had a great year that year. And it just seemed like from that point on that moved guys from base to base. And that was our one common goal. It wasn't about hitting home runs and just seeing how many home runs you can hit. And I think the mentality of the group of guys led by Joe Torre was what really enabled us to be hungry every single year and win that World Series.
Like Tino, memory is 1998 in the World Series. Against San Diego. I'll ask you, Tino, is that your definitive Martinez.
I'm so right there the ball landed. I still remember hitting it and running to first base like, wow, just watching the crowd go crazy and realizing what just happened, a grand slam in the World Series to put us ahead. And it was an amazing moment for me and obviously for the fans. But yeah, I would have to say that probably was my iconic moment, I guess.
Do you get sick of talking about the 2-2 pitch every time that it's brought up? And to this day, was it low or was it not? What do you say?
Okay, yes, I get tired of hearing that 2-2 pitch. Okay, so if you watch the games today and every day of the season, there's that ball that's pitched down there. Nowadays they have that box,
right?
And when the ball hits the box, it goes just below the box, just wherever it's at there, and they call it either a ball or a strike. I mean, it could go both ways, either way. I thought it was low, like down low, but it was when I look at it again, it was very, very close. It could have been called a strike as well. So that's what I thought. I thought the umpire just called it a ball, and he could have called it a strike as well.
Yeah, he didn't call it a strike. That's all that matters.
Right. Exactly. That's how I looked at it.
No doubt.
The 2-2 pitch, yeah, it was close. I mean, there's so many close pitches that that can sway a game one way or the other. I mean,
right.
I used to hate that when I'm on the field and we throw a close pitch to say a guy like Barry Bonds or somebody. It should have been strike 3, and then hits a home run the next swing, and that's just the way it goes.
Well, look, Tino, as I told you just over email, I grew up in the 90s as a huge fan of the Braves, and as you know, Maddox and Glavine would get 3-4 inches off the plate every time.
Oh my God! I mean, these guys today. I'm not envious these guys. That the game evolves from decade to decade, and every so often just changes. But now, in my opinion, is a great time to be a hitter because the umpires get graded, basically on that box, and they don't call anything outside that box these days. And back then when I was facing Maddox and all the tough guys earlier in my career, Roger Clemens, he was still in Boston, Nolan Ryan, I faced him, and if it was 3 or 4 balls off the plate, they're getting a strike out of it. And I go, wow, this is going to be tough to hit in this league. And I remember one time we had a meeting in spring training, maybe around 98 or 99. The umpires come every year to each team, and they go over the new rules and whatnot, and what's going to happen different this year according to the rules. And the umpire, the head umpire, whoever it was that day, was talking to us as a team and our coaching staff. He said, "Hey, this year we plan on we're probably going to call a ball about probably two balls off the plate." Maybe 3 sometimes, just, that's the way it's going to be this year, whatever. And Don Zimmer just flips out in the meeting and goes, and he just says, then why the F do we have a whole plate there for? Just take the whole plate out of there. And it was true. They were just calling that. I remember one day, make a long story short, we were playing on the Fox game of the week in Atlanta on a Saturday afternoon, and it was Maddox versus Clemens. And I remember the umpire's name. I don't want to say his name because he was, a nice guy umpire, but he called the ball. Was famous for calling the ball very far off the plate. And Maddox just was throwing balls 3 or 4 inches, balls off the plate, inside, outside, and just mowing us down. And I remember after one of the outs I made, I came around third base, and Maddox was walking off the field. He goes, "Well, this is going to be pretty easy to do with that zone."
Was it Tim McClelland?
No, it was not.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I don't want to throw him under the bus. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I do have a serious question, though. With all the talk, and we cover the Yankees extensively here in the capital region of New York because there are a ton of Yankees fans. All the talk all season long, Tino, has been, boy, they need more left-handed bats in the lineup. If they were to have called you and we gave you a full season of at-bats at Yankee Stadium, how many do you think you could hit out?
53-year-old me?
Yeah, no, you now.
Right now, well, I don't know about that. I would just, if my body held up, if I had a full spring training, I know I could hit 25 home runs for sure.
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
25 again, but I may not be hitting 300. I might hit 220 as well.
Well, you'd fit right in with the way baseball's going now, Tino.
I know, it'd be great. But again, you look at the teams right now that are in first place in most of the divisions. They put the balls in play. They get the 2-strike, 2-out hits, the man on third, little single to left field. Something that I think Anthony Rizzo is bringing into this lineup now, which they really haven't had. And that's going to really help, watch guys like him grind out at bats and choke up with 2 strikes and get that key run in for third base. Those are big runs throughout the game.
All right, Tino, what's the difference? The New York Yankees and every other team in baseball.
Everybody wants to play for the New York Yankees. That's the difference. It's just a great place to play. I mean, I think in the years we were there, I was there from 96 to 2001-ish and so forth and onward from there. When those visiting players would come into town and they would see 55,000 people there on a Wednesday afternoon at 12 noon, on a Friday, it doesn't matter what day it is, what time it is, they find ways to get to the ballpark. And the atmosphere they created there for the New York Yankees, and it was such a boost to our team to have that what do you call it, 10th man, I guess, on all the time, yelling and screaming at the other team, the 2 strikes and stuff. They gave us a huge advantage, but it's just an unbelievable place to play, from the fans to the stadium to everything else.
Was it ever louder than when you hit that home run off BY Kim?
It was obviously that was a loud moment, and I also thought George W. Bush threw out that first pitch in Game 3. The roar of the crowd, from that moment during 9/11, the noise level at that point before the game even started was as loud as I've ever heard it before a game even began.
Wow.
Does 01 still eat at you a little bit? Does 01 still feel like, man, of all the years, like that one we really should have had?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
The Diamondbacks, they outplayed us the entire series, and we were fortunate enough to get it to Game 7 and with a chance to win. But yeah, it definitely eats at us a lot. I mean, that would have been 4 in a row and 5 out of 6. But most importantly, of 9/11, the 9/11 year in 2001, that would have been a really, really awesome World Series to have had for the people of New York and everybody else involved. But just it would have been awesome to have that. Yeah, it does bother me from time to time, but again, we got outplayed.
I'm not going to make the tie here because of the 9/11 association here, but it's funny. Years ago, a handful of years ago, Tino, I was at a Major League Baseball draft and talked very briefly with John Smoltz. And again, I told him, hey, I'm a big Braves fan. I watched you in the night, all this stuff. And I said, what happened in 96? And he said the same thing. He said, that is the one that still to this day bothers me almost daily.
Yeah, it does. I mean, they crushed us in games 1 and 2 at the stadium.
How did you guys come back from that 2-0 deficit?
Well, we obviously knew we had to win Game 3, and we knew we won Game 3. It's a 2-1. Now it's a whole different series because being on both sides of that, when you're up 2-0 or you're down 0-2, that Game 3 is so crucial. It kind of sways every series back in the person who has the one win. It sways it back in their favor, and we knew we got Game 3 over there. And especially Game 4, knowing we're going to go back to Yankee Stadium no matter what, even if we lose Game 5, was huge. And the Braves just, we had to against the wall a little bit. We're waiting for games.
Enter Sandman was playing at the stadium, and Mo was trotting in from the bullpen in the 9th inning. Just in general, forgetting the postseason, just in general.
Yeah, for all the years I played there, I would say in '96 he was our seventh and 8th inning guy in Wetland close. I mean, we knew we had the lead after 6 innings with him coming in. Forget about Wetland in the 9th inning. We knew it was over because the 7th and 8th inning were going to be 0-0 on the board there. And we just had to close it out with Wetland at the end. But it was almost an automatic win. To say it, if there's ever an automatic win in baseball, which is, you cannot say that, it was as close as you get to an automatic win when he came out of that bullpen to close games. And we knew it. The other team knew it. And it was an unbelievable weapon that we had there for all those years that, carried us to those 4 World Series titles when I was there.
All right, just a couple more things here, Tino. Old Timers Day. I feel old when I start to see Old Timers Day. Did you think to yourself, I'm way too young to be here?
Yeah, I did. But it was still an honor to go out there really with all those the other older old timers, the Yogi Berras and those guys. it was really cool to be out there with them and that, be part of that whole Yankee legacy. Even though I didn't feel like I was an old timer at the time, I was, the first time I was 40 years old, maybe 41. And, but it was just a thrill to be out there with that group of people that have gone through so many decades of Yankee success and, they, Hall of Famers and whatnot. And it was an honor to be there, though. But I didn't feel old, but I enjoyed it, though.
Do you think we'll ever see another dynasty type of team in baseball, just the way the game is now and the way the game is played? Do you think we can see a team string together 3 or 4 titles in a row or 5 out of 6, something like that?
Yeah, I don't think so. There's so many good teams out there now, and the way the game is played, like you said, if you get a home run hitting team that strikes out a lot, in the postseason, that really doesn't win. And every now and then they may win one here or there, sneak one in. But then to do that year after year, I don't think that's going to really happen at this day and age. No.
We owe a tremendous.
There hasn't been. I'm correct. It has not been a back-to-back World Series winner since we did ours in the '90s, I believe. Just a back-to-back.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Right.
You're right. Yeah. Boston's won a few in a handful of years, kind of deal. But you're right, back-to-back. Right. Yeah. Tino, we owe a tremendous amount of gratitude to Rennie LaRue, who has helped coordinate this interview, but he, of course, is the founder of the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame and the reason you'll be in the Capital Region this coming weekend. How is the pitching shoulder? Because I know you're going to throw from the mound at our minor league affiliate Valley Cats game.
My arm is fine. I still throw batting practice to some of my nephews around here in Tampa. But I've thrown out the first pitch quite a few times in Yankee Stadium during the postseason. Yeah. And it is the most nerve-wracking experience you got to go through. I've always thrown a decent pitch, but it's just so nerve-wracking. And I'm sure I'll be nervous again, but it'll be fun.
Well, this won't be 50,000, so I think they'll take it easy on you.
Right.
Tino, we can't thank you enough for the time, really, and congratulations on the induction. We will see you there Sunday for News Channel 13, and I'll bug you for another interview then. But thank you for the time here.
My pleasure. I look forward to seeing you guys. Thank you.
At Marcelo's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcelo's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, Genair, and many more. Shop Marcelo's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now, back to Onorato and Bagnardi. Brought to you by Appliance.
How cool is that with Tino Martinez? Awesome. And I've moved locations here because I am just baking in the sun, as you can imagine. Chris Onorato and Sean Bagnardi back with you here on Onorato and Bagnardi. We are at Van Patten Golf Club for Play It Forward 518, a great organization headed up by the Troba family and our guy Joe Troba, who is going to join us here, Shawnee, momentarily. How are you doing over there? Are you faring a little bit better in the shade than I am?
Yeah, this is okay. This is a good spot. I have the good coverage, yet I still feel like okay enough lighting. There's a lot of production value going on in this side of the patio.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very shaded.
Yeah, you are.
Very shaded.
Really. Our chief photog at the TV station, Matt, would be like, these idiots. Get a fill light and I know. Sorry, Matt.
Right.
Sorry, Matt.
Like we put these guys on TV. Yes, you do. You put us on TV, believe it or not. All right, let's bring in a better looking person. And I think he's probably better lit as well. And that is Joe Troba with Play It Forward 518. I lied. He isn't better lit. Joe, it's good to see you, buddy. Thank you for having us out here at your event at Van Patten Golf Club. 200 golfers, you're sold out, and finally it isn't raining. How much are you enjoying today's success?
Especially coming off, last year with COVID being able to fill the flight. I think people were so ready to get out here. Basically had the tournament filled within a week of sending out the registration forms, and an absolutely huge turnout, and couldn't ask for a better day.
So can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of this tournament and how things really came about to getting it to this point?
Yeah, so after my cancer diagnosis and going through all the med and Make-A-Wish, my Make-A-Wish was actually to go to TPC Sawgrass in Jacksonville, Florida. Was there for a whole week, played several rounds. Not there during the players, but they sure gave me the full players experience, hitting all the championship tees and everything. So after that, really just decided that we wanted to start something to be able to give back in the first year. 100 golfers. We didn't know if we were going to, 3 groups, 4 groups, 16, but we ended up with 100 golfers. The year after, turned it into 130, 170. 2 years ago had nearly a full flight, and this year absolutely full, had to turn away. And that just comes from, people coming as a group of 4 enjoying themselves, and that group of 4 turns into 12 because the other 3 people in the group decided to bring their own group. So it's really exploded. All the sponsors, here, Prime Companies, Tealbecker and Tremonti, the Bronco and Vielkind family, have been supporters from the beginning that have allowed us to get this off the ground, and it just has continued to blossom.
Yeah, this is awesome, and I love what you do for the area here. What's the scouting report on the Siena team this year? Give us some inside dirt. I know you're still well connected.
I know we got a lot of new guys. I know Coach Carm was here this morning talking about an honorary captain program that we do with a child from the Children's Hospital comes to each game and is honored before the game. Talking to Carm, I know they're working hard. We got some newcomers. We got some transfers. So I think we're going to do all right. There's going to be some competition in the MAC, obviously. Obviously everyone's always following Iona. Followed them a little bit. It seems like they got some guys coming in, but I'm so confident in the guys that Coach Carm has brought in, and obviously we get fans back in the TU Center. There's no better spot in the MAC to be playing.
How is your golf game? Are you going to get out here and play 18 today in the heat?
Golf game is, pretty good. Played a lot earlier this summer. My wife and I welcomed our first baby 3 weeks ago. So I think the golf game is, probably going to be put on the shelf for a little while. But being here today, I'll be able to get out and hit some shots. So hopefully the celebrity drives that I go out there and hit are good and don't embarrass myself.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Joe texted me this morning at about 6:30 and said, "Hey, let me know when you're on the grounds. I'll be moving around." Now, that's not because he had a big tournament. It's just he probably wakes up a lot earlier than that now as a new father. Joe, thank you for the time, man. We're thrilled for you in both fatherhood and the great success that is Play It Forward 518. Check them out. Don't forget the E in Forward, and you can make a donation right on their website as well. But definitely check out the annual golf outing. Get in early because it sells out every year the way it did again this year at Van Patten Golf Club. Joe, thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you, Chris. And obviously, I haven't seen you today. It's the first time I've seen you since, but congratulations on the wedding.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yes, as people continue to tell me, I haven't messed it up yet.
Yeah,
there's time.
It's early.
Yeah, there's time. All right, when we come back here from Van Patten Golf Club, our conversation with the great Lou Piniella, 3-time manager of the year, 3-time World Series champ, Yankees and Reds. You're watching Onorato and Bagnardi, back with Lou Piniella right after this.
Happiness is found in simple things. The sun on your face, sharing laughs, at the campground, getting wet, relaxing together, the love of family. There's never been a better time to go outside and play. Alpenhaus Pool Spa Boat and RV, bringing families together and creating memories since 1964.
And now, back to Onorato and Bagnardi. Brought to you by Alpenhaus.
All right, we're back on Onorato and Bagnardi, and what a thrill. I mean, we've already spoken with Tino Martinez, Sean, and now an opportunity to talk to one of the great players and managers of all time, a guy who's won World Series both, again, as a player and as a manager, and that is Lou Piniella. We'll be thrilled to speak with Sweet Lou, as they call him. Lou, first of all, thank you so much for the time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your induction into the New York State Hall of Fame, which is coming up this weekend. What does that mean to you? I know you're already in the Mariners Hall of Fame, but to be inducted into any Hall of Fame, what does that mean to you?
Well, first of all, it's quite an honor. It's quite a distinction, and I'm thrilled to death. I really am. I want to thank the people from New York State for giving me this honor. It's something that I don't take very lightly. I know that there are a lot of people prior to me being inducted that have been inducted that are very deserving, and I'm very proud to join such an elite list. I know last year Thurman and Bobby Mercer, Guidry, they've been in the Hall of Fame, so I'm thrilled to join my ex-teammates.
Coach, Chris mentioned this. You've had the highest level of success in this game as a player and as a manager, something very few people get to accomplish. What is it you are most proud of when you take that step back and look at your career as a whole, both as a player and as a manager?
Well, I have a lot of things that I'm proud of, but probably winning that first World Championship with the Yankees in 1977. I wear my 77 Yankee ring with a lot of pride. I think that's probably the thing that I look at first and foremost. Then the repeat championship in 1978, where we came back from 14 and a half out at the All-Star break and beat a really good Boston team in Fenway Park on a glorious October day, and then went on to beat the Kansas City and the Dodgers to repeat as world champions. And then the 90 championship series with the Cincinnati Reds. We went wire to wire, swept Oakland in the 1990 World Series. And Marge Schott was the first woman ever in professional baseball to win a world championship. So those are the things that I'm certainly proud of. Other things, in Seattle, I managed a team that won 116 games, which is the most in the American League. Actually, we tied a record that went back all the way back to the early 1900s for most wins in the season. And then the Yankees beat us in postseason. I was a little disappointed in that, but the Yankees were such a great team.
Skipper, did you guys in 78 or post 78 ever have fun with the nickname that Bucky Dent took on because of his home run?
We do. We really do. The amazing thing about that game is that Bucky Dent was noted for his glove, and he hits that big 3-run homer. I'm noted for my bat, and I make some really nice plays in right field to help us win that game. But yeah, I get a laugh every time I hear Bucky's name. I'm not going to mention it. I know exactly what you're talking about. But what a clutch home run. Boston, that day, they were ahead 2-0. The Red Sox fans were having a great time. The place was lively. And all of a sudden, Bucky hits his ball into the net in left field. Yastrzemski, he just slumps over, and you could hear a pin drop in Fenway Park. And we went on to hold on and won that game 5-4. What a great game. The Red Sox were a wonderful, wonderful team. How in the world we came back from 14 and a half out at the All-Star game and beat that great team? I don't know, but it goes to the tenacity and the will to win that our team had.
Hey, Lou, we hear players and former players talk about this all the time, but I'm curious to get your perspective, especially since we're talking about the New York State Hall of Fame here. What's different about putting on the pinstripes versus any other uniform in baseball?
Well, let me tell you, it's an honor to wear any major league uniform. I played my first 5 years with the Kansas City Royals, and I enjoyed that experience tremendously. I played in the minor leagues about 5 full seasons, which is a long time. And finally, in 1969, due to expansion, I got my break. and I was Rookie of the Year that year in the American League. I played there 5 years, and then I got traded to the Yankees. And truthfully, initially I was disappointed because I like Kansas City so much. But looking back at it, the trade to the Yankees was the best thing that happened in my whole career.
Here we are on Onorato Bagnardi. We're at Van Patten Golf Club. This is when you're a little bit subject to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's the issue. We gotta stream off the Wi-Fi our pre-record interview, but we can share it and post it separately. It's probably the best approach on a better Wi-Fi, and then that way the whole interview will go up clean.
That's exactly what we'll do.
All right.
Exactly what we'll do. All right. So the Yankees are continuing their climb. You and I have a bet going that if the Yanks make the playoffs, I owe you a Harrison Butker sweatshirt. You've got to be feeling pretty good at this point that that's going to happen.
Right. So we had to wrap up this conversation early to squeeze in the interviews that we now can't play. So now we have enough time to go back to the Yankees, which is good. Look, I've been very impressed with this team, but not surprised, right? I'm a little surprised at the Red Sox dropping the way they have. Tampa Bay, though, is still there. It's going to be a long road for the Yankees to come all the way back to win the division, but it's always been about the wild card spot for me. I've talked about how this team is not quite built to succeed in the playoffs the way I think they should be, but they are built to succeed in the regular season. And certainly what they did at the trading deadline, adding Rizzo, this team got better. So I'm excited to see how they're going to continue this hot streak that they're on, and I think it will be enough to overtake the two teams currently ahead of them in that chase for the wild card spot.
And I can't believe that the Yankees are doing what they're doing, even with all of the COVID positive tests this roster has up and down it. 9-10 guys since the All-Star break alone, Bags, and this team continues to find ways to win. That, to me, is kind of what's been most impressive, is that doesn't matter who Aaron Boone puts into that lineup, they're finding ways to win these games.
What are your impressions of Oakland? I mean, Oakland, Boston, New York, right? Those are kind of the three. Which do you think 2 out of 3 will make? I mean, I think the Yankees could wind up the number 1 wild card and actually hosting that wild card game.
Boy, At this point, yeah, I'm just being stubborn if I continue to say they won't make the playoffs or that they don't have a shot at the number one wild card. Of course they do. I don't think they're going to catch Tampa, and Boston has really come back, going the direction of the Mets, really, to go back to what we opened the show with. Yeah, New York may host that one-game wild card playoff. And I don't care where they play it, though, honestly. If it's Garrett Cole on the mound, you feel pretty darn good about your chances to win one game.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, but again, to me, then you get to that area where you need like 2 Garrett Coles, right, to succeed in the postseason and to win a playoff series.
Yeah.
And that's where they start to fall off the table for me. And I'm not as high right now on Cole as even being like that trustworthy guy who is going to go out and get you 2 wins automatic come postseason time in a series like you maybe would have thought about him in the past.
Yeah, okay, I get that. And how much of that opinion, though, has to do with Spider Tack? Is your confidence lessened simply because maybe he seemed to be so reliant on the idea of using some kind of substance?
Yeah, I mean, look, he made it clear that he was using this stuff, and I think his stats made it clear immediately after he stopped using it. But it's all about adjustments, right? So now he's got to make the adjustment really to not using it. I do think he's a good enough pitcher to be able to overcome some of that and get back to a little bit more of the Garrett Cole we're a little more familiar with. Is he going to be this overly dominant guy, though, again, who you would trust to go out and win 2 playoff games in a series for you? I just don't think so now. And when you look at the playoffs, that's what it comes down to, of course, is the pitching. The Yankees can hit the ball in a league that can't really hit the ball. I mean, really, the Yankees' bats are not as good as you'd like them to be, but you get away with it because the whole rest of the league can't hit. That's why I say they're built to win in the regular season. I just don't think this is a World Series team.
Yeah, no, look, Tino said it earlier in the show that the teams that are in first place are the ones that are putting the ball in play. They may not be the super high strikeout, reliant on home run teams as you'd kind of expect, right? And so I think without saying it, you don't want to say the Yankees wouldn't have postseason success, but I think Tino feels that way, that this Yankees team is kind of built, like you said, for the regular season and maybe not so much for the playoffs. All right, I think we've used up our Wi-Fi time here at Van Patten Golf Club. Onorato and Bagnardi on the road, proud to be part of the Play It Forward 518 tournament here, a sold-out golf outing, and our props to Joe Troba and our thanks to him for hosting us and for being part of today's show. You can catch us every Thursday right here on the News Channel 13 Facebook page and Saturday nights at 6:30 on My 4.